Let's rank the top 5 corners in the 2024 NFL Draft class, and let's see if any have a chance of falling to the Green Bay Packers. Starting off with number 5, some of you may be surprised by this. Coming out of Alabama, it's KoolAid McKinney. He's 6'1", 195. Good size. He's a junior coming out for the draft. He's mainly a press corner. You'll see him lined up in press like 90% of the time at Alabama. He's got good measurables that makes him pretty physical on the line with receivers. He doesn't really get challenged much with the throws or targets his way. He only had 43 targets this past season and had 10 pass breakups. That tells you how good he is. He has good hands off the line, so he's not getting penalties. He's not getting those holding penalties off the line with receivers. So you know he's a pure man-to-man corner. He's got long arms, great against slants and comebacks. He's a great red zone corner. He brings the energy. He brings poise to a position that's one of the hardest to play on the football field. He is literally the picture-perfect number 1 corner in a man-to-man scheme. Now here's a glaring issue with him, however. With being a man-to-man corner in college, he does have some issues with speedier receivers, which he'll see a lot of in the NFL. And on the longer plays, long speed is an issue for him. He has a good trail technique, which is a good sign, but who knows, if you can't handle the speed of NFL receivers, that trail technique won't come in handy at all. He is in position to make the turnovers in man, but he'd rather just break up the pass. There were some instances this year where he had a chance to pick off a ball, but he didn't turn his head in time, knocked the ball away. Still good plays, but man, you got to make some of these turnovers and be a ball hawk like the rest of these DBs in the first round. And I don't really know how he'll look in a system that uses him more in zone or off coverage. I doubt he'll be lined up in press as much as he was in college, but I do got to give him props. Starting as a true freshman for Nick Saban is a true feat. There are lots of people in front of you at that school, and they probably worked a lot to get to those positions, and just to have a freshman start over you is kind of crazy. So I got to give KoolAid that credit. He should be a top corner in this draft. I have him at number 5. I think he'll go to a team like the Packers. He has a real chance of going to the Green Bay Packers, but he could fall anywhere between the mid-teens to all the way to 30 is what I think. At number 4, it's a cool one right here. Quinan Mitchell out of Toledo. He's a little bit of a spotty prospect, but he's been picking up steam ever since that Senior Bowl. He's a 6'1", 196 player. He's a junior out of Toledo. 91.5 overall grade, 91.6 in coverage. That's really good. To give you a little bit of perspective here, 70 is the grade you really want to see in pass coverage, and he's at 91.6. He's also pretty decent against the run, 77.0 against the run, a whopping 17 pass breakups. That's the most out of any corner I have scouted so far, according to the tape. This kid's vision is second to none. I have him at number 4. He has 5 interceptions this year, which can be a little bit misleading. I saw 4 of those came against Northern Illinois University. Their quarterback was just kind of chucking that ball up to him, and I guess they don't know who Quinan Mitchell is. So that unbelievable number of picks is a little bit skewed. There's a little bit of a lack of competition where he comes from with Toledo, and I think he really needed that Senior Bowl to really stick out to NFL scouts. Plays a lot of off coverage here at Toledo, barely any press. He's a ball hawk. He can read anything that comes his way. He has the size of a big physical corner like TJ Tampa out of Iowa State, but I don't really think that's how he plays. They're the same size, but they're not built the same. TJ Tampa, physical, Quinan Mitchell, ball hawk kind of guy. He has a good feel for spacing, for the fades, competitive at the catch point. Recovery speed is a little bit questionable. The scouts look for recovery speed. His normal speed is pretty good. Never really gets beat the same way twice. He does fall for the double moves quite often, according to some scouts, but I don't really see it. I don't think he'll get beat the same way twice. The reason I have him ranked this high is just based off his massive boom potential to become a number 1 corner. He has the measurables, he has the plays, he has the film. Now he's just got to go do it. At number 3, I have probably the most intriguing prospect out of these corners. It's Cooper DeJean out of Iowa, 6'1", 207, the biggest corner that I've scouted so far. 77.4 overall grade, 76.8 coverage grade, and 78.6 run defense grade. Those grades are a little bit off, as I think he's probably the best run defender out of all of these corners by far. His 76.8 coverage grade overall is probably indicative of his coverage, and then the 77.4 overall grade doesn't really speak volumes to what he's done overall as a player. He has 7 picks over the last 2 seasons. 3 of them he took to the house last year. Returns punts as well. A couple went to the house. He's an athletic freak. He's taken snaps at outside linebacker, safety, Outside as a corner, he tackles the run. He's not afraid to get his nose dirty. While doing special teams, he's physical. He's got great eye discipline. He can press, but he has shaky ball skills at the point of the catch. He will get beat on these 50-50 balls occasionally. But, you're not getting just a corner out of this guy. You're getting a defensive back. You can play him anywhere. I mean, with the Packers, they took Demarius Randall a couple of years ago. I think the 2015, that's not a couple of years ago. They took him. He was a safety originally, moved him to corner. He played corner at a pretty decent level for the Packers. Then he went to the Browns, moved him back to safety, and what do you know? He played even better at safety. Overall, DBs are great value picks in the draft, and I think Cooper DeJean is an overall great value pick and got him this far up the stock boards for me. Number 3, just based off the value he brings. And overall, it can be just a preference thing for value, depending on the team. I mean, for the Green Bay Packers, they're just looking for defensive bodies out there. They're pretty short on secondary players, and just a pure defensive back may be what's best for the Green Bay Packers. I feel Cooper DeJean could go anywhere from the mid-teens, maybe even the top 10 according to some mock drafts, but I think those mock drafts are a little bit ahead of themselves. I think he'll probably fall in the 20s, and the Packers pick at 25, so you never know. Cooper DeJean could be putting on the green and gold. So as I said before, he is one of the better run defenders. He blows up screens. He can blow up plays in the backfield like a linebacker. Overall, mirrors well in man-to-man with trail technique, but he is prone to getting beat on dig routes, slant routes by the inside move. He's definitely not the best man-to-man corner. He's definitely not the best zone corner, but I think he's the overall best all-around corner in that aspect. It's really close between number 3, number 2, and number 1 on my list, but Cooper DeJean falls here just based off of just some measurables and some plays that he gave up. It's really a mixed bag when you go and look at all the other experts out there. They'll either have him ranked at number 1 or they'll have him ranked all the way at 4 or 5. So I think there's truth to both of them, but it's best to place him in the middle and come away with number 3 on your board. It's just based on how much you value a player like Cooper DeJean. And number 2, Nate Wiggins out of Clemson, 6'2", 185 junior, 82.9 coverage grade. That's awesome. 81.6 overall grade, 7 pass breakups, thought to be a number 1 corner. Had some immaturity coming out of Clemson in the beginning, but he overcame it, according to Dabo Swinney, as a person and a player. He's smooth and explosive as a corner. Rare. It's usually you're smooth as a corner or you're explosive as a corner. Rarely do you see both of these skill sets in one player. He's a former wide receiver recruited as one. He's got great ball skills, great footwork, played great on the outside, the textbook corner technique and explosive-wise. He has a bit of a slender build, which means he is a liability in the run. He had a 65.4 run defense grade. But if you're looking for a cover corner, this is your guy. He's tall. He's got the potential to be a really physical corner with his build. He doesn't have that long of arms, but he plays like he's got long arms, if you know what I mean. He can make plays on the ball like anybody with long arms. Now, if you're watching this video and don't know what that means, if Cooper DeJean had longer arms, he probably would be my number 1 corner, because those long arms could be the difference between a broken up pass and a 65-yard touchdown. Now to look at the closing speed aspect for Nate Wiggins, he reached 22 miles per hour on a play where he forced a fumble chasing a guy. Yeah, that is DK Metcalf chasing Buda Baker type of closing speed. And that's exactly what scouts are looking for in corners. So obviously his youth is also playing a factor in his draft stock. He is just turning 20. He'll be 21 by the time the training camp comes around. Still hasn't had his first beer legally. And all that aside, a lot of his issues can be coached, or he can fix it in the weight room, because he's got the build to be a really tall physical corner, and that run issue can go away with work. Now for my number 1 corner, Trevon Arnold, Alabama, teammate of KoolAid McKinney. He's 6', 196. He's a red shirt sophomore, just turned 20, 88 overall grade, 84 against the pass, and 90 against the run. 14 pass breakups. He's an explosive, young, versatile corner, and is by far my number 1 corner. I wouldn't say by far, but him and Nate Wiggins are by far the number 2 and number 1 corners. Anyways, why is this guy so awesome as a prospect? He's really young, forced a lot of turnovers, a ball hawk, 5 interceptions. Look, okay, maybe that's a little bit skewed. He did have a little bit of luck on his side. 2 came on Hail Marys, 1 was tipped, and the other 2 were just athletic freak ball hawk plays. Some corners that can't even extend their arms to get that pick. He was originally recruited as a safety. He can play outside, he can play in the slot. He took 300 snaps in press coverage, so he's comfortable pressing, similar to KoolAid McKinney. He took a high percentage of zone plays with that cover 7 Nick Saban system. He's aggressive, he's fast in his breaks downhill, he has great vision of the field in zone, he's a good ball hawk on film, explosive and smooth, Again, that combination is extremely valuable on the draft board. His footwork isn't perfect, but that's coachable. He's a little bit grabby, and that's also coachable. That is where his issues end, and that is why he is the #1 corner in this draft. Thank you for watching this video on the Toss the Mic YouTube channel. Subscribe and comment for more videos like this, and also comment your top 5 corners down below. It's going to be a really interesting conversation. I love the corners in this draft. A lot of position groups are stacked, like the tackles, the receivers, and the quarterbacks, but the corners, by far, being a former D-back myself, are just so intriguing, and I can't wait to see who goes to what team. Anyways, fellas, that's the end of the video, and as always, have a great day, fellas.